But I think one of the big links is there, well, it is the subject of well-being, which is clearly topical as well at the moment with regards to this last mile, and you alluded to it, the working at home, the 24/7. In fact, you say the personal experiences are the best. I was talking to my son who's doing a business course last night, and I talked about the fact that I have my iPad, I have my mobile, I'm working in the evening, it's over dinner. And he said, yeah, but you've got a mobile, you've got the best mobile out there. And that was his view, so you should use it if it's been given to you. There's no need to switch off. And this is the future of the workforce kind of coming in, that's what he's seeing. But Mervyn, from your take, you had some views really on, could this technology actually eventually become too intrusive into the workforce? So where's the balance between that kind of home life, work life, and where this last digital mile will cross over?
Okay, yeah, it is intrusive. But then, in some respects, as you said with your expenses, we've outsourced, we've taken away jobs, and we've outsourced it back to the individual. And that's it. You do it now. The same with training. 91% of companies see it as the employee's responsibility for self-development, personal development. But no one's told the employee, because ADP's workforce view, which I don't know if there's a copy here, their number one training want, the employees, is personal and career development. Number two is technology training, and number three is communication training. So what is interesting is that, did you have a call when you were given your first iPhone? Did IT sit down? Did somebody train you in HR how to use it? It was assumed you would know how to use it, and if not, plenty of jobs from cabin crew and airlines to dustmen, they're being issued with iPads because it's a much more effective way to kind of manage what's going on. But they're not really having training courses. It's assumed that they will either learn how to use it themselves or they already know how to use it. So a lot is being pushed back to the individual to keep themselves up to speed. The move towards more freelancers and stuff, it's not, again, it's up to the individual, the contract worker, to keep themselves up to speed. No one's training them in what the new development means. What if one of your clients is using contractors to come in and run a part of your system, the chances are there won't be a budget for you to train the contractor. They're going to have to do that in their own time, possibly. So there is a big change, and there is an expectation, going back to what I said before, the manager emailing at 10 at night and kind of, do I get involved with that? And if everybody else on the email threads, remember when email was created, it was just from one person to another. There was no CC, there was no BCC, there was no reply all. It was a quick way to get a message. It took over from the inter-office memo, if anyone's old enough to remember that. But we found ways to use it, and we use it to delegate. An email from a manager to 6 people is effectively delegating, visibly delegating, because everybody knows it's somebody else's responsibility now, and they can all chip in themselves. Say, oh, when you do that, can you do this for me? And we are pushing a lot back onto the employee. It comes down to engagement. Sorry to be the fluffy one, but this, valuing, treating people with respect, recognising they have a home life, is important. But I think at the moment, the only way around that is for you to, I shouldn't say this on an ADP event, but for you to actually put the phone away and just almost have an out-of-office message. I am now at home, living my life. I will deal with your request in the morning. Now, the trouble is, you might lose your job for that one because you might be deemed to be inefficient, or they've given you the tool and they expect you to use it. So I think it is intrusive. The social thing, again, I know that possibly gets short shrift, but the research is there. 88% of global employees have a social media account. Not saying they use it all the time, but they have at least one, even if it's just LinkedIn. And half of them talk about work on their social media account. And 1 in 6 have admitted saying something about work they regret having said. Now, it doesn't sound like a lot, but if you employ 5,000 people, that's several hundred people in your business, could all be concentrated in sales or marketing, who actually have said things on Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, Google+, anywhere, that they think, oh, maybe I shouldn't have said that. Maybe I shouldn't have made it so obvious I hate my manager. But it happens, and it can't be stopped. It won't be stopped. Same way that it's not a fad. Same way mobiles. I was doing some social strategy with a business within the recruiting space last year, and we were talking about the fact that mobile is now over 50% of job applications start from mobile. And it's like, yeah, but that's a fad. That's a fad. Yeah, mobile's a fad. You know, we got by for years without them, but it's never going back. You know? We're not going back that way anymore.
Yeah.
You know, the next generation to enter the workforce don't know how to pick up a phone, a landline phone, dial a number, and speak to a person they've never spoken to before.
Yeah.
So they won't sell the same way. They won't do cold calling because it just will be alien to them.
Yeah.
You know, they will find out a link with the person.
Yeah, and I think in the same way you mentioned email in that change. So email is, you know, considered old hat and on its way out, and it's being replaced with collaboration tools, which is even more real time. Okay.
Yes,
what if I'm not collaborating at 11 at night?
Yes, last week there was Indeed. Over 50% of traffic from Indeed to Indeed is on a mobile.
Right.
Same with major job boards like JobSite and Reed, both that. But I mean, now whether that starts with a Google search, you know, marketing jobs in London, and then puts them.
Right.
But increasingly, I mean, mobile's overtaken desktop now in terms of searching, and it's changed. It's changed the times of day. So if you look at the times of traffic to a career site or a job site from a mobile, it tends to be 7 to 8 p.m. in the morning during the commute, and it's 8 to 10 p.m. at night. It's not during the core 9 to 5 working hours. You know, that's where you'll find it on a desktop because people are doing while they're at work, a desktop or laptop. But from a mobile, people are doing it during the commute or second screening at home. Or possibly, you'll be amazed, the link between an advert, I don't know, you know, watching a compare the market advert and thinking, actually, I'm looking for a job. I wonder if they've got any jobs in marketing. Yeah, you'll be amazed what drives people to pick up a mobile and do stuff like that. But a lot of companies still can't make the business case for a lot of recruitment teams still can't get a business case for actually having a mobile optimized site, not an app, a site. And they've got like 30, there was another stat last week I mentioned someone before, that after 30 screening questions on an application process, that even if they desperately want to work for you, they will cancel the application. Wow. They won't go any further. Now, if you're trying to do that on a mobile, it's 7:30 in the morning. Your job site has sent you an email to let you know there's a new job in marketing at ADP. Fantastic! I've been waiting for that. You're on a tube with a coffee, and then you pinch Zoom. I've got to select again. I've got to select again, and then inside leg measurement, and you give up. Do these people know what they want?
Before you move off the intrusive nature of technology, can I just? I don't know how much of you are thinking about this right now, but. If you drive a car and you're a young person, they put in the car for insurance purposes a tracker that stops that person driving the car between 11 and 6 in the morning. And we accept that because we say it's a perfectly normal trade to allow me to drive a vehicle. I will forego the ability to drive in the middle of the night, should I wish to if I was a young person. Now, one of the things that when I was thinking about the next 5 years, gave me real concern was, is there an ability for those of you who are wearing a Fitbit? I can see some of you. For those of you who will be wearing wearables in the very near future when the iPhone phone comes out, how far are we away from the ability for that device to measure your well-being? To measure how many calories you're taking in, to measure how many steps that you're taking, to measure your blood pressure, to measure your heart rate, to tell you whether you're obese, to tell you the things that you may personally want to know and you may personally want to take advantage of. Yeah? So it's a perfectly good personal choice. But what if your employer says, we'd like you to wear one of these, please, because you're covered via our life insurance. You're covered via our health insurance. And we don't want you to have a heart attack. We want you to carry on being productive and working hard. But you must wear this device. And by the way, we're going to track it. And we're going to see this data. Now, maybe it's cross-generational. I don't know. But imagine if all that data is collected by the company. Every Monday morning, you'll be able to measure people's heart rates. Oh, it's time to go to work. You know, and you can see when the board meeting is, oh, look, there's a heart attack waiting there.
Like a ski jump.
Yeah. Friday afternoon, everybody relaxes. Yeah. Now, I don't know whether that data's there, but I really think it's going to come.
Yeah.
I really do.
Pretty much there.
Yeah. And I think that when that comes, we're going to have a moral obligation, an ethical obligation to say, how is our data being used?
Well, come on. I mean, and that's precisely the reason why we should all be reading Aristotle and not Daniel Pink. Because Aristotle, sort of kind of sorted this out, a few thousand years ago, basically, by articulating quite clearly the distinction between evdaimonia, fulfillment, and telos. Telos is actually, basically you work with an end, you work to live. Yeah? So you get a job in order to actually afford the mortgage, to go on holiday, to do the kind of things. Evdaimonia, fulfillment, is something completely different to that. It's when you're lying on your deathbed at 70, which is where that phrase comes from, by the way, Nicomachean Ethics, and you look back and you're not going to say to yourself, I put in a great day at the office even though I had 175 BPS in the morning, and I'm not going to have that conversation. It's unethical. It's not part of the equation. What I'm going to think about are the deep things in my life, what Aristotle called arete, which is like the kind of stuff that you sneak off away from your family or with your family or whatever because you're really passionate about those things and it really what drives you. It's what the theory of employee engagement, what sits behind it. But what we've done is we've conflated telos, this working to live, with fulfillment. We think fulfillment is work. We think being productive and being happy is a wonderful way to make us all economically more productive. Well, that might be one of the side effects, but what it's all about actually is making sure that we have arete, that we have evdaimonia, sort of fulfillment, that we have a deeper, more meaningful life. And I don't think we get that from capitalism. I don't necessarily think we get that from our organisations. A large part of our identity is absolutely wrapped up with work. And there's no denying that, but nevertheless, it shouldn't be the only thing that defines us. And we should be pushing back, ladies and gentlemen, against our organisations. So when that kind of stuff comes out, and my 14-year-old is too fat, dumb and happy on FaceTime, sorry Thea, if you're watching, to actually say, what does this actually mean? That's precisely why we should be having these conversations.
I completely
That's precisely
agree,
why these
because I think the time will come where you won't want to know that we all know this now. If you have Facebook and you can see Facebook, and I've got examples for real, where somebody will ring and say, I'm not well today. And on Facebook it's saying, I'm having a great time at Alton Towers. Or I've got a bad back, I've got a bad shoulder, and the photographs of them dancing.
That's just not being smart. There's a difference.
Yeah. There's a guy called Scott Stratton who's known as on marketing who would say, that's a hiring issue. Don't hire more of. Yeah.